Welcome to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. We're having a very interesting experience today. It is the first time that I have done the show quite this way because I am not in studio like so many of you. You know, I'm staying home because that's what we're supposed to do these days. And so I'm not going into the studio where you're used to seeing me when we live stream a show, but we're still going to do 11 minutes and 30 seconds in each segment. We do have 4 segments in the radio show because it's an hour long, or almost an hour long. So, this is the first one I've done. We've been playing some of our favorite past shows up until now, but we decided as of today, it's time to start figuring out the technology and doing some new shows. So that's what we're doing here. So here we go. All right. I know that this is sort of redundant for a lot of you, but we all know we're in the midst of a pandemic. COVID-19 is here. And we are all experiencing major life change as a result of it. Some people are being impacted financially. Almost everybody is being impacted on some level. And one of the things some of you know I've been doing is a little segment every day. I do a segment I call 1130 at 1130, highlights from the Silver Linings Playbook. And I'm doing that because early on in this crisis, I realized that there was just way too much bad news that we were being deluged with every day. And I just felt like I needed to do my part to try to counteract that and give us something positive to be focusing on. And so the idea was born for 1130 at 1130, highlights from the Silver Linings Playbook. Because there are silver linings that we're all experiencing as a result of this, aren't there? I mean, for one thing, the children are getting to experience their parents for more than a few hours a day. And that, I think, is amazing. On the other hand, there's the other side of that coin is parents have now had to become not only in-home professionals, which a lot of people are doing, they're also in-home teachers. And homeschooling, I think a lot of people realized long ago, was not an easy gig. We all are being reminded that those teachers are professionals. They got training to be able to do what they do and do it as well as they do. And one of the good things I think is going to come out of COVID-19 is a whole new appreciation for teachers and caregivers and anyone else that helps us with our children so that we can all do what we need to do on a daily basis. So, excuse me. One of the things that I've discussed with my listeners on 1130 at 1130 is that right now is really a huge grief experience. The whole world is dealing with loss on some level. We've had certainly losses of our freedom, losses of our lifestyle, for many people, loss of income, loss of gathering with friends and family, loss of having the freedom to do whatever you feel like doing. Last week, I had the heartbreak of driving by my favorite beach where I usually walk several times a week. And there was all this portable chain link fencing set up. So you can't walk on the beach anymore. And even though most of us were being very respectful of social distancing, and it was so good for my soul to be able to go connect with the ocean every day, you know, it's just something that's had to be given up now because too many people were abusing the privilege and too many were gathering and taking walks that were not 6 feet apart from the other person. So Trails have closed. We all know most restaurants are closed except for pickup. The bars are closed. St. Patrick's Day didn't happen. Um, I am pleased to see that my local restaurant, breakfast place here, is doing takeout baskets you can pick up for Easter. And I'm going to do it because they're giving all the money to the employees who have been cut off from their income. And this is really tough. You know, my son works as a server at Ruth's Chris, and we all know most employees in restaurants make the bulk of their income through tips. Well, that's not happening for them right now, and many of them have been furloughed, and so there's no income. And a lot of those people have families to support. They have bills to pay too. They have rent to pay. And God bless Governor Newsom. I have to say, I'm a huge fan because he buttoned this state down quick. And I personally think that we're not going to have as terrible an experience going through this because of what he has done. And God bless our mayors, the county people who have just followed through with everything. I mean, I live here in Carlsbad, San Diego, and I'm telling you, they buttoned this place down. And everybody, at least people that I know, was happy to go along with it so that we don't have a crisis like Wuhan or New York or even San Francisco. So I strongly urge everybody, as much as, hey, we all know it's a drag. We're all dying to get outside and go hang out with our friends, do some of the social things we used to love doing. But we can't. We just can't do that right now if we're being responsible. Because even if you're healthy and feeling good, which I'm so grateful and happy to say I am, and so is all of my family, but we don't know if we could be asymptomatic and then possibly give it to somebody else who is at risk. And in our own family, my parents are in their 90s. My sister has an immune disorder. So we've got people who are high risk. And that's one of the reasons why we're not having the Easter gathering that we so love having. And we're not able to take that chance. We're not able or willing really to take that chance and want to put any of the people that we love at risk. So my hat is off to all of you who are going through the inconvenience, the hardship, even the frustration and some of the sadness of being confined indoors all the time, as we all are right now, because I do truly believe in the big picture that will shorten what we're going through, and it will save a lot of lives and save a lot of people who might lose their lives or really suffer during this pandemic. So one of the things I want us all to keep in mind is we are a world of grievers right now. The whole world is grieving the loss of some aspect of their lives. And unfortunately, some people are grieving the losses of people they love. I feel grateful that here in my town, we're still allowed to go out for walks every day. And I'm lucky enough to live in a place where there are hills and I can see to the ocean. And the local golf course has opened up and allows us to take walks there. So at least we can go outside and experience the blessings of nature. And for me, that is certainly a sanity saver. But I think we all need to keep in mind that we're a little fragile right now. You know, like this morning, I woke up and just felt like I'm over this. And yesterday morning, I woke up and I was excited to face my day. And I had a lot of things going on. I was booked from morning till night. But, you know, every day is different. I actually think that's one of the blessings that is going to come out of this pandemic, that we've been hearing from our spiritual teachers for years: be present in the moment, stay in the moment. in my training to do counseling, it was always about be present with your client, stay in the moment. The truth is, this moment, right here, right now, is all we have. Only right here and only right now are we alive and in the moment. All the rest is past and future. So if we're wasting this moment right now by being in the past or being in the future, we're missing something really important. We're missing our life. We're missing our life right now. And right now, because of the circumstances we're all living in, we really can't make future plans. Oh, we can fantasize a bit about, my family and I are all talking about going up north to see my friend Patty and go sailing. And, we will do those things. We just don't know when. Nobody's booking tickets right now because we are being forced to learn to live our lives one day at a time. And that's a powerful lesson. That's all we really have anyway. But a lot of us waste today fretting about tomorrow or regretting yesterday. So maybe one of the pledges that you can make yourself, and I'm going to make myself, as a good result of this virus, is to just really stay in today. To even when it's all over, even when we are making future plans again, though, let's make a commitment to stay within our 24 hours because that's all we really have anyway. So after these messages, we will be back to talk about some other aspects of what we're all living through right now, because quite frankly, this is history in the making. So let's get into that part of it and savor that a little bit. Okay, we'll be back in just a few moments. So for the Facebook live stream people, we're actually not going away. I'm going to have a sip and we're going to go into segment 2. And to my sound engineer, Todd, I know you're going to take that out for me when you put this all together. So here we go. Okay. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. Thank you for being with us. We are talking about, excuse me, the times we're living in. We're talking about COVID-19, which is pretty much in everybody's vocabulary every day. And I think it's important during this time that we create a semblance of normalcy, because we've all seen the funny videos online. Day one, there's the woman is exercising and she's doing everything right and cleaning and reorganizing drawers. And by day 5, drinking wine out of the bottle, bags of snacks being just gobbled while she sits on the floor. And so we all get a kick out of watching that. But for the grace of God go I, right? We need to create a sense of normalcy. It's why I created 11:30 at 11:30, this little daily segment I'm doing on my Paula Shaw Facebook page, because it gives me some routine. I get up in the morning, I meditate, I exercise or I walk, and then I start preparing what I'm going to talk to you about at 11:30. So I have that focus, I have that structure to my morning so that I feel like there's purpose in my life. It's so easy for us to feel like we don't matter, like nothing matters, like, oh, it's just another tough day. And nobody likes that. So remember, what's really critical right now is that we stay healthy and that we keep our mindset in a positive place. So I suggest this concept of routine. Create a schedule. You know, put it in your day timer. You'd be writing something in there anyway. Put it in your day timer. What are you going to do at 8 o'clock? What are you going to do at 9? What are you going to do at 10? And then do it. That's the most important part. Do it. Part of the reason I created the Facebook thing is, you know, it's like having an accountability coach. There's Facebook every day at 11:30, and if I don't show up and do what I said I was going to do, I don't feel very good about myself. And so I really want you all to consider doing something like that. Build that into your day, so there's a place where you know people are expecting you to show up, where you matter. And I think that that is a critical thing for all of us to do. One of the other things I'm suggesting to people in staying positive is reaching out. Reach out to someone you haven't talked to in quite a while. Reach out to someone who you think about, and you always make that intention that you're going to call them, but you don't. You know, you don't. And I know from many years of talking to people who are grieving, who are dealing with um, upheaval and change in their lives that they did not plan on, whether it's a marriage falling apart or a death or a health crisis, you know, or whatever it might be, a move, an unexpected move, or even an expected move. When everything changes, we humans get uncomfortable. As we've talked about every week on this show, one of the purposes of this show is to bring information to my listeners to help them deal more productively and effectively with change. And change, as we know, is the one constant. It's always going to come. Whether you like what's going on or you don't like what's going on, don't worry, because it's going to change. So, and the other thing, of course, we strive to do on Change It Up Radio is spotlight change makers who are trying to make the world a better place. So change is what we're really all about. And Lord knows we're going through daily change right now in the world that we're all living in. And as I've pointed out on my 11:30 segments, this is an amazing time in history. Do you realize that nobody on the planet has lived through this before? Isn't that crazy when you really think about it? Yeah, nobody. The last time something like this happened was in the 1800s, and they're all gone. So it's a great time to think about, if you don't already journal, start a journal. Write down what you're experiencing each day for so many reasons. For many years down the road, your family or your friends, or maybe even the world, will be reading what you experienced during this COVID-19 crisis. It's also a great idea to journal because we are all going through some major growth right now, aren't we? And it's always great to put that down in words, because we get busy with other things, and sometimes we forget the depth of what we're actually experiencing when we're going through growth. And because so much growth unfortunately happens through pain, we even more so kind of forget what we went through and some of the really powerful lessons that we learned when we were going through it, if we haven't written it down. So a journal could be a really cool idea right now. I also want to encourage you to share with friends the beautiful and the funny sayings that people are posting and putting out there, the videos. We really need to keep a sense of humor at this time, guys. We really need to keep a sense of humor, and we need to focus on those great things going on. Like the first time I heard the Italians were opening their windows and their balconies and singing to each other as they're all in lockdown, I thought that was one of the most beautiful, precious things I've ever heard. And a little town in Germany called Bamberg, all the people came out on their rooftops and on their balconies and started singing Bella Ciao, an Italian resistance song, in sympathy and empathy with the Italian people. I mean, that is such a beautiful thing. When I heard that the dolphins had returned to the Venice canals, where they have not been swimming for years because the canals were so polluted, that is a positive, beautiful thing. When I realized and heard that from um, satellite photography, they could see that the levels of pollution in China and in Italy were noticeably down since COVID-19 started. Mother Earth is healing. That's a beautiful thing. That's something worth celebrating. Some of the stories that we've all heard about where people have been showing up for each other. Oh, there was this one darling story of a man whose wife was in a nursing home, and it was like their, I don't know, their 50th or 70th anniversary. And he showed up with roses and a box of candy and a sign that he held up outside her window because he wasn't allowed to go in and visit her. People are finding ways to connect. People are having Zoom dates, Zoom first dates. I think I shared, well, not with my radio listeners, but I shared with my 11:30 listeners that I had my first Zoom happy hour with my two children, my brother and sister-in-law, and my oldest friend from high school. And trust me, high school was many years ago for me. But we all gathered on Zoom. Everybody had their cocktail, and we carried on for 3 hours. We were having such a good time. So while it's not the same as being able to hug each other or, be sitting face to face and looking into someone's eyes, it's not a bad substitute. So God bless Zoom, God bless the Google and all the different means that we have, Skype, all the different means we have of connecting. FaceTime. If your friends or your family have iPhones, you've got FaceTime that you can use too. So we're blessed in so many ways, so many ways. A new show has evolved that I love. I like to think he copied me because I was doing my Silver Linings Playbook pieces on Facebook before he started, but probably not, because John Krasinski is pretty creative and he has a lot of clout. John Krasinski, who you may remember from The Office, has started a weekly TV show that he does on YouTube, and it's called Some Good News, or SGN. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. He gathers pieces like I was just talking to you about to share with people, and usually has some kind of celebrity on the show. And you're just seeing some amazing things. He shared the other day, I thought this was fabulous. One of the biggest companies that makes baseball uniforms has suspended making baseball uniforms now, and they're making masks and gowns because the people in the hospitals have needs, and those needs have to be met if we're going to be able to be prepared to take care of the sick. Another company that normally makes hockey gear, I think it's called Bauer, they're now making these really cool what do they call them? I think they call them face plates or something. But anyway, it's like a band that goes around the forehead and a protective piece of plastic hangs down in front of it. So along with your mask, whoops, there's our segment. Along with your mask, that can help protect these first line people who are taking care of our sick. All right, we need to pause right here for a message, but when we come back, we're going to be doing our third segment, talking about ways to help ourselves even more in this time of crisis. We will be right back. Facebook people, I will be right back. I have to grab the book that I'm working with in this segment. Okay, we'll set our timer. Have a sip of water. And here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. I'm delighted to have you with me. We are doing a little review today of what's going on in life now here in the time of COVID-19. So in the last segment, if you're just joining me, we were talking about the fact that we're a world full of grievers right now, that every single one of us has lost something, even if it's just the freedom, to go hang out with our friends. But one of the things I think is really amazing too is that people are getting so creative. Um, you know, uh, People are having Zoom dates, even first dates. They're meeting people online and then they're setting up a Zoom date. And I think that's incredibly creative. So, one of the things I want to talk about in this segment is because we all are living through a tough time, we all are going through something we've never experienced before. We're grieving. That's the bottom line. We're grieving. Some of us are handling our grief very well because we're using our time wisely and we're getting around to things we always wanted to do, or we're having time to spend with our family that we really are cherishing. I know yesterday I read something where a 7-year-old child was so excited that the family has been sitting down to dinner together. And it was something she'd never experienced before. Other people, with all the activities our kids have going on, this lesson and that lesson, a lot of times dinner is not a time when everybody sits down together. It's a sort of grab and go affair because everybody has things to do. So we've got to break from that norm right now. And I think many of us are using it in a way that, whoops, my mic just died, in a way that really feels good to us. Let me just get its legs going here again. There we go. So one of the things that I think is very important is that we are all sensitive to the fact that none of us is quite like we were. Okay, that might be an improvement for many of us, but we're all going through, like, some days are great and some days it's like, oh my God, I can't do this one more second. And so, and as I've also pointed out, we have this great opportunity for connection and connecting with people maybe we haven't seen in quite a while. So one of the things I have encouraged people about in these daily segments I've been doing that I'd like to share with you all is that when people are going through a tough emotional experience, and whether you're having a good day or a bad day, we're all going through a tough emotional experience right now because this is something we've never done before. And some days it might feel okay to be going through this. Some days, like I said, you're ready to say, I can't do this one more minute, go back to bed and pull the covers over your head. So what I'm encouraging people to do is to have conversations that come more from your heart than your head. Because when people are going through something tough, they want to feel seen, heard, and understood. In fact, all humans, all the time, want to feel seen, heard, and understood. And the best way to do that is not to connect through your database and your intellect, but connect through your heart and your humanity. So if you're talking to a friend you haven't seen in a while, put aside the catchphrases. You know, after you get past, whoa, crazy times, huh? Then maybe say something like, this is a bizarre experience we're all having. How's it feeling to you? How's it going for you? Or observe what you're hearing from them. It sounds like it must be pretty lonely for you. Is that right? Tell me about it. What are you doing to help yourself get through this time? Is there any way I can support you? Do we need a daily check-in time for a quick chat? Is there something I can send you or something that I can do? Do you need anything from the grocery store? These are the kinds of meaningful conversations that can actually help people not feel so alone and isolated, or just feel a sense of hope and connection. Remember, guys, we are herding mammals. We were made to run with the herd. And so alone time's great for personal growth and introspection, but after a while, alone time starts feeling very alone. And so thankfully, we do have the internet, we do have telephones. You know, we can see each other on videos now, which is so great. And so if that's available to you, take advantage of it. You know, connect and help other people who need connection to connect with you. That's super, super, super important right now. And when you do connect with them, try to get them to speak about what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, because that's the kind of conversation that will help them heal. That kind of conversation will actually make them feel better. Now, I also want to talk a little bit about the things not to say. So what you really don't want to say are those statements that come from the head. Either they're pat statements like, well, there you go, and there you have it. Well, it's reality. There's nothing we can do about it. Hey, we're all in this together. It'll be over someday. All of that may be true. But if I'm hurting, it probably doesn't make me feel any better to hear that kind of a statement. So please avoid anything that sounds like you're teaching, preaching, judging, or criticizing when you are speaking to others during this time. And try to actually come from your heart and your humanity. That's the level on which we need to connect to really have our conversations be meaningful. So remember, it's not the head that's broken here or that's hurting. It's the heart. It's the feelings, it's the emotions that we're all going through that we need to talk about. We need to tell somebody else what's happening with us. I know some of you are in the house with your families right now, and that might be 3 people, 4 people, 5, maybe 10 people. There's a lot going on under your roofs right now with all those people together. One thing I'm loving seeing when I do drive to the store or, you know, down to the beach or somewhere to just get out for a bit, families, the whole family's walking the dog now. It's not just mom or dad. And I think that's very, very cool. I love the idea that family conversation is happening. And I'm hoping that more and more families are actually doing that and not just sitting in their own separate corners, all looking at their own device, because that doesn't really bring us any closer. So I really want to encourage you, choose words from the heart, ask questions that won't necessarily elicit a yes or no answer. You want to get people talking about what they're experiencing. that's how they can actually really have therapeutic benefit from a connection with somebody else. You know, that old thing, you know, when you really think we're all in this together, misery loves company. I mean, it sounds a little depressing, but the truth is, we are all going through the same thing on maybe certain variations. You know, I don't have anybody living in my house with me, so I'm dealing with a different set of problems than somebody who maybe has 5 other people living with them, right? I have no young children now, but I have grown children who are out there in the world where there's a virus. So, you know, we're all in this difficult thing we're doing together, really, if we see the commonalities that we have. But I really want to encourage everybody not to dwell on the negatives. And here's the reason why. I'm also doing a podcast for the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. And the other day, I had the privilege of interviewing one of my heroes, Bruce Lipton. He wrote a book called The Biology of Belief, and he's a cell biologist. He's internationally known. He's a speaker and author, brilliant guy. And Bruce told me 2 things that I have really stayed in my brain. That the reason this virus has become what it's become, for 2 reasons. One, it's novel. So we've never seen anything exactly like it before. So nobody had prior immunity. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to get sick, as we all know, because if your immune system is strong, you can still fight it. But nobody had ever seen this exact virus before. So for vulnerable people, boom, it attacked with a vengeance. But one of the things, he said, that shuts down the immune system in such a reliable way that doctors actually give these chemicals to people who are dealing with transplant surgery. He said the emotions that are created by fear, not the emotions, the chemicals created by fear are so powerful for shutting down the immune system that they are given to patients who are receiving transplants, organ transplants, so that the immune system will be shut down and it won't reject the organ. So, my friends, if I've ever heard a better reason to focus on something positive and not something fearful, that's it. We need our immune systems now more than ever. And fear shuts the immune system down reliably. So let's try to focus on gratitude and on love and on taking care of the people we care about. All right, when we come back, we're going to be talking about a lot of what's going on in our communities. And I also want to give you some health tips I've been learning from experts lately. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, live stream people, we are just about to start our last segment. Thank you for being with me. Okay. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. We've been talking about COVID-19 today, and in this segment, I want to talk about a couple of things actually going on in the San Diego community, since this show is a San Diego radio show, and also give you some tips for staying healthy during this time, because I've been watching a lot of webinars. I've been interviewing people for my various podcasts, and I think there are some very simple things that we can all be doing to keep ourselves healthy on every level. So the first thing I want to share with you was that there was a very important press conference yesterday that was put on by the San Diego Emergency Child Care Task Force. Now, this group has evolved because we've got a real serious situation, and I don't think this is unique to San Diego. I think it's probably going on in every city in the country. the nurses and doctors and first responders and all of these people that we need to have at work so they can take care of our sick, these people have children who now are out of school. And so they are having to scramble to try to find childcare. They have a much bigger expense than they did before because many of these children were in childcare centers where the costs were lower. So not only do we have these first line people that we need so desperately right now, we have them going out there and putting themselves at risk every day. They're going to the job with concerns and stress about what to do to take care of their children. So this task force has formed, and they have created a proposal to go to the county asking for funding to give each individual healthcare worker and first responder and these people in grocery people, the ones we need that have to be at work, give them money to help them pay for the childcare and also set up safe centers for the children. I actually asked the question, would the children be safe going into these centers with other children? And I was assured that the centers that would be opened up would have very, very stringent standards for keeping things clean, for keeping the children, in social distancing and perhaps even masking them. I'm not sure of all the particulars of what they would be doing, but they feel very sure they can keep children safe and still make it possible for their parents to go to the jobs that we so need them to be able to do. So I urge every San Diego person, go online and Google the San Diego Emergency Child Care Task Force and see if there's a way that you can help. It might be a donation that you can make, or it may be some kind of a service you can offer. They are looking for people to help with the child care centers and that sort of thing. This is a very, very important issue right now. Other cool community things that are happening, and I believe I may have mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show, but people are connecting through Nextdoor. So if you know somebody you're concerned about, or if you are somebody living alone and you have needs, there's help you need with groceries or something like that, Nextdoor, go online and just download that app and then connect with people through Nextdoor. It's kind of like a Facebook kind of a situation, only it's particular to individual neighborhoods. So it's very, very local. I love the idea that teenagers are gathering together. I mean, hey, they're home. There's only so much time they can be studying. Some groups of teenagers in various cities across America have formed their own programs of going and doing grocery shopping. They're shopping angels, doing grocery shopping for people who can't do it, for people who are in need. So I really want to urge everybody, if there's someone in your neighborhood who you know is an older person, or someone who in some way is disabled or challenged health-wise, reach out to them. Reach out and let them see if they can be helped by you. If there's some way that you can provide them with something that will really make a huge difference. And then in review of what we talked about last segment, maybe all they need is someone to talk to. So be there for that as well. See if you can engage them in a little bit of conversation about what it's feeling like for them, how they're doing. One thing I've shared on my my little morning segments at 11:30 is sometimes singing together is the best thing. By the way, I highly recommend the soundtrack from The Greatest Showman. Oh my goodness, when I'm not having a great morning, I put that on, and the songs, oh, This Is Me, that one, and it's such a show about God, loving everybody for who they are, what they are, coming together. I mean, really, it's kind of like a soundtrack that should be the theme, the musical theme music of COVID-19. So find those ways to lift your own spirits and then reach out and lift other people's spirits. Personally, I like dancing and singing a lot. And I do find, again, The Greatest Showman, that soundtrack, and believe me, I'm not making any money from this, but it's on iTunes. I mean, there are certain songs where you can just rock and, I mean, move your body, and it feels so good. I've worked up a sweat because I play them a couple of times. And then there are the songs that just get to your heart, like Never Enough. So just allow yourself to sing, allow yourself to dance, allow yourself to do whatever you need to do to bring your energy, your vibration, your level up, because at that place, your immune system is going to be at its strongest. So here's a couple of things that I learned on webinars this week. Speaking of your immune system, copper is very important. The virus cannot live in the presence of copper. I take a copper supplement every day because you may remember that LifeWave, who makes the phototherapy patches we've talked about many times before, LifeWave, their X39 patch that I wear every day, that's a stem cell activating patch, works best with a copper supplement. So now it turns out that that copper is actually also protecting me from the virus. So go online and see if you can get a copper supplement. They're very inexpensive, and you only need about 2 milligrams a day. Another important thing, one of the reasons vitamin C is so important, and yesterday I heard a nurse say, when you go to the hospital with COVID-19, they send you home and they tell you to take vitamin C, zinc, but don't take zinc in too large an amount. You don't want a mega dose on zinc because then it actually can help the virus. So a little zinc is good, or zinc lozenges if you've got the sore throat, that kind of thing. Excellent. Not too much zinc, but zinc and vitamin C. And I have been told that particularly liposomal vitamin C, it already has the fat with it, so it breaks right down, goes into the system. It's a lot of what they were using in Wuhan with the people in hospitals. So zinc, vitamin C, good nutrition. Eat a lot of vegetables, guys, because that makes your system alkaline. And an alkaline system doesn't allow viruses and bacteria to grow. And one of the quickest ways to make your system alkaline, if you should start feeling like maybe you're getting something, baking soda. I have actually even had toothaches in the past, felt like I was getting an infection. Put a teaspoon of baking soda in a glass of water. Do that maybe a couple of times, 3 times a day. That will quickly take your body into an alkaline state. Now, I'm not a professional here. These are just things that I have done in my own life, in my own experience, and that I have found have worked for me. The baking soda, the vitamin C, the zinc, I'm doing all of that right now. The copper, absolutely, every day. I'm getting my parents on it. So these things that we can do to make sure that we're healthy. Get out and walk or do some kind of workout every day. A lot of people have their own equipment at home. They have videos and things they work with. I'm blessed that my gym has videos online that I can work out with every day. So there's all kinds of good things available to us if we just take advantage of them. So again, let's do our best to keep our bodies healthy and strong, our minds healthy and strong. And we're going to get through this thing with grace and ease. Right now, nobody that I personally know, except one friend in Sun Valley, Idaho, who's fine now. I don't know anybody else who's actually had the virus. So I want to be able to say that when the whole thing is done. So let's all band together, keep ourselves healthy, eat a lot of green vegetables, Don't drink too much alcohol, even though I know it's tempting right now and it's a great escape. But try to use moderation. Keep yourselves healthy and strong. And by the way, my guest next week is going to be someone that some of you followers of Change It Up Radio will remember, Tom Palladino, who does free scalar energy treatments. Tom tells me that not one person who he's been treating with scalar energy has tested positive for the virus. And he has an offer for you all that's free. So please join me next week at the same time for Change It Up Radio, and we're going to be asking some serious questions of Tom Palladino. And if you want to read up, go to freescalar. Freescalar, it's either freescalar or freescalarenergy.com, or it might be .org or .net. I can't remember, or Google Tom Palladino. All right, I'm sorry, Tom. I'll get it right next week. Okay, everybody, great seeing you. Thanks for being here with me today. And see you next week for Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. Bye-bye.